Phone to record.
Cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we're going live for our thyroid seminar.
Says that my thyroid antibodies are at 119, which is still high, but they're down 78 points. And my TSH is
15, right? 16.
16.780, whatever, from 40. And that, for me, is like a miracle. And so I am doing a happy dance on the inside and on the outside because I am so excited. So whoever you are that needs some encouragement, stay the course. We're all going to get there.
Yes, we are.
Thanks to great people like T and just trust in God's faithfulness. So that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing, Laura.
It's my pleasure. Bye.
Thanks for being here. Has anybody gotten to see like results before with autoimmune or anything like that before? Who's thinking kind of crazy? Well, whoa, what in the world? Yeah? So I'm Dr. Tomasetti. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Real quickly about my voice. I got the same situation as Robert Kennedy Jr., whether you like him or hate him. We got the same vocal thing going on, and so bear with me on that one. If you need me to repeat something, let me know. I'm happy to repeat it. I want to make sure you guys get the information today. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Who's ready to have a little bit of fun today? Me. One per two people. Okay. Seriously, make this interactive. Ask questions. The more you ask, the better, right? You retain information. And this should be a little bit of fun. Who's kind of tired of being sick and tired? Yeah. So let's get a little, right? You can borrow a little bit of my energy to get some of yours back. Is that fair? All right. So let's work on. Oops. Here we go. Today's measure of success. I want you to understand the root cause of what's going on with thyroid. Okay. I want to show you our winning approach, like what are we doing that's getting changes like you saw from Laura? And then hopefully get a bit of hope for your own healing process, and then show you what next steps could be. Okay, sound like a plan? Here we go. Here's the big picture, okay? Everybody's trying to get physiology to work better. Right, that's your TSH and all the other labs. Like they're going, let's get your numbers right. Who's heard that before, right? Oh, your numbers are fine. There's nothing wrong with you, right? That's controlled by your biology. So male, female, genetics, right? All the different things that make our biology up is what controls how the physiology works. That's controlled by biochemistry. And then what controls the biochemistry? Chemistry, good. Yeah, it's right there for you. Right? So none of these reactions work properly unless your chemistry's working right. And that's where most people are hanging out in the treatment arena. They're trying to medicate you here, right? They're trying to change your chemistry and biochemistry. Maybe change your diet, add supplements. That's been your story so far? Has anybody addressed physics? No. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm seeing physiatrist because I have
physiatry is physical biology.
Yeah, so that's why she really focused with me and exercise and all of that.
Right. So great. I'm so glad that's part of your journey. Physiatry sounds similar but completely different. That's working on the biology, exercise, and physiology. That's where that is. It's not that. It's just this is where that layer is. Make sense? Physics is literally light, electromagnetics. We used to get from the Earth's electromagnetic field, right? Electromagnetic is from the sunshine, light from the sunshine. What vitamin do we make when light hits our skin? D. Vitamin D, like we know this, right? The body responds to light. Do you sleep well with the lights on? No, so melatonin, sleep hormones, all that changes with light. Right, so you need light on, you need light off. So light is a major part of physics. I'm not trying to make it sound like this big weird science thing. It's basic stuff. So light, electromagnetics from the Earth's field, and now we've got man-made Wi-Fi and all these, right, that interferes with our normal system. Okay. And the other one then is literally electrons. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more of that in a minute. I don't want to get too geeked out on that stuff, but that's the bottom line. If this stuff doesn't work right, or you don't have enough of the right physics, literally none of the rest of it can be as efficient. Does that make sense? Do you see why now just conceptually, maybe they're medicating or changing diet or whatever, and you're only getting so far? Maybe there's something wrong in the physics layer. Are you tracking with me? Raise your hand if that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Let's dig a little deeper. Is that all right? This is as geeky. I might get a little more geeky, but this is as deep as we're going to go. Here's how your body makes energy. Okay, very simply, the best way to make energy is in the electron transport chain, the most efficient. What's it called? Electron transport chain. That sounds like physics, doesn't it? Okay, so there's literally a movement of electrons from one molecule to the next that then generates 32 to 34 ATP, right? And what does that mean? That's the money that your body spends to do any kind of work. Thinking a thought, moving an arm, having a major, TSA, any number of things your body needs to do, it all requires energy, right? So that's literally the energy molecule that we make to do work. Do you want to have an abundance of energy, or do you want to have an energy debt? Which one would be better?
Abundance.
Right? I mean, it's a stupid question, but you get the idea, right? So if for whatever comes along in your world and starts to deplete your body's energy level, maybe it's stress, we'll talk about the details of that in a minute, but when your battery starts to drain, now you go to a less efficient system. You're making 2. The backup system is 2 instead of 34. Does that, whoa, wait a minute, that's a giant difference in energy production, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're running an energy deficit, kind of like our national budget, right? Where there's a massive energy debt. Okay, and so thankfully we can still run things for a while, but now you have to make what? 16 or so more cells to make up for what this one used to do. That's step 1 in the process of energy debt breakdown. Okay, so now we've got, we need more cells to make up for the energy the one used to make. So now if your cell battery is at 80 to 100%, you can run whatever you want to. You can fix whatever needs to be fixed. You can heal whatever needs to be healed, right? Think of this like your cell phone. You can run all the apps you want, play all the games you want, and music, and it's all fine when your battery's charged. You start losing power, and then what? What do you got to do?
Cut down.
You got to cut down. You got to make choices, right? I can't run all of this. In the body, we have to make room for mutations. I can't fix all the damage. I have to pick and choose what I'm going to fix. Make sense?
Okay.
So that term is called heteroplasmy. There's no test on that, but these are the big words that we get to learn. And that's what happens in the 60 to 80% range. When you lose more function, but between here and there, what happens now is the body's, we said, making more cells. In the spleen, it's called splenomegaly. You might have heard of something like when the organ gets larger, fatty liver disease, right? Or hepatomegaly. In the heart, cardiomegaly. So we've got terms for this in the medical world, but basically just telling us we're in this arena when that's happening as far as energy debt. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So now you're making more cells to do what? Make more energy. But then, if that goes on too long, well, man, now you've hired all these workers and they are just not keeping up, right? Now they're doing this and not this. So what do you got to do?
Make more.
Layoffs, right? Right, but that's called, right, you would either make more or it's like, wait a minute, this is actually costing us more energy to have these things than it helps us. We call that autoimmune.
Oh.
Now your body's attacking the cells to kill them off because they're not helpful anymore.
Okay.
Are you with me? So going back to, here, that's where we're at with autoimmune. Okay? And then what happens when your battery drains more? You lose the ability to kill off those expanding cells. What's that sound like? Cancer.
Oh. Okay.
Does that conceptually make sense? Now, this isn't a cancer workshop, but I want you to get the idea that if the battery drains too low in the cell, that's where this ends up. Okay? So stick with me. If, question.
Yeah. How
Good.
Typically, like, long would apoptosis occur before you would like feel or notice symptoms, or
Depends on the person. We've all heard of kiddos being born with cancer, right? Wow. What kind of energy debt have they been in since the womb? Like, that's a big deal. So that really depends on the person, right? Yeah, I wish there was a simple answer, but oftentimes you get autoimmune and have no symptoms for at least a decade. That process can be happening, and we have tests. There's actually a blood test. It's pretty simple to figure that out. How many systems? It will screen 24 different tissues in your body to see what's being attacked, and we can tell 10 years in advance before you have any symptoms. If there's an autoimmune condition going on, we can find out where you're at in the energy drain, right? Great question. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
So I have hypothyroidism and I also have multiple sclerosis.
Right.
So I'm like double whammy. So
Yeah.
do you have people that come in that have two that they're dealing with? And...
If you have one, you typically have two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super common when there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah, so very common, but that lets us know. And Julie, thanks for being brave and sharing that. Like, honestly, but for like HIPAA and all that stuff, don't feel like you need to share your own personal histories, just so that you're aware of that. But that being said, what we know then is we've got two different tissues that are really struggling, right? MS is brain autoimmune, right? Thyroid is hormonal autoimmune, right? If it's in the joints, they call it RA. Right? So you get the idea. It doesn't really matter what tissue it is. It's that there's been an energy drain in that system for however long, to the point where it can no longer repair, and it has to attack itself to make things run as best it can. So I need you to understand that too. Your body is always working for you. It's not working against you. It's always doing the absolute best it can with the resources it has to help you live the best life you possibly can.
Would you say like if inflammation is the body's alarm telling you to...
You're like 2 steps ahead of me. This is beautiful. She's already like, absolutely. Yeah, who's heard that? Inflammation is like a major big deal. Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a moment, but like, it's no big surprise, right? It's like, yeah, that's a big thing. So let me ask you this one. Why, have you ever heard of anybody getting a heart cancer? No. Why not?
Because he is moving all the time.
If your heart battery drained that much, you would die of a heart event before you even got the possibility to develop a heart cancer. Does that make sense? The heart is like 7 different electromagnetic fields come off the heart. That's why it's so powerful when you hug somebody's heart, right? Like, you feel that. It's like, so there's a lot of energy being used there. Thankfully, the heart never gets a day off. Okay? It's like, it's always gone. So it's always adapting to hot, cold, laying down, stand, like, oh, right? It's always changing, thankfully. So the heart's using the most energy in the whole body. You can be brain dead or comatose and still alive when the heart's going, right? So with that in mind, that makes sense of this, and like any sort of scenario you want to throw out there. Do you see how this model makes sense for your like healthcare in general, and where they're missing a big piece of the puzzle? And the science backs this up all day long. This is not some new thing. They're just not really addressing it and utilizing the science that's there for decades and decades. Okay, so that's as deep as we're going on the science stuff. Let's apply that then to thyroid, right? So you mentioned inflammation. Here's where we're going next. What causes the battery to drain? In a word, inflammation. Where does it come from? Stress, right? Big deal. I would say easily 90% of my patients with autoimmune, there's a major stressor or trauma in their story. Okay, and we know just population-wise, easily 25%, 30% of women have been abused physically or sexually. And men, they say it's lower, but I think we just don't talk about it as much. So that could be one, right? And not to mention anything else, a number of things, divorce, any sort of emotional, global pandemics, right? So, right, and then you also then have physical traumas, like a car wreck. Where's your thyroid live?
In your neck.
You get whiplash. Do you think that might affect the function of the thyroid?
Mm.
So these are things that, and again, that's in the physical, that's in the biology world, right? It's not even down to the physics, but we're just saying like mechanical trauma can impact how these things work. So you just have to know what layer you're trying to impact and affect in terms of that pyramid and triangle. Is that helpful to understand?
Okay.
So it's not that any of them are wrong. It's just that where are we trying to impact and affect to get the response we want? And some people do great with chemistry, and that means their battery is fine and they got enough physics going. But you might be here going, I've tried all this other stuff, and it's not working. And I've got more questions than answers when I leave the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully some of those are getting answered for you even now. Does that, yeah?
Okay.
Good. Inflammation, pathogens. We're number one in the world for what in Pennsylvania? Do you guys know?
Cancer.
I don't know about that. Hopefully not. But Lyme disease.
Oh.
We're like the epicenter. Okay? So Lyme is a major player, and that can impact all kinds of things. Processed foods, bad fats, right? These are inflammatory things. Sugar. All these are just the reason they're inflammatory. One of the main reasons is they require electrons to deal with them. Okay, so the bad fats, electrically speaking, they need more electrons to handle them. So now you run an energy debt from the bad fats. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's why they're inflammatory, because your body's already at a debt. It's like, here's more fire.
I thought sugar was. Doesn't that what your cells need, like some sort of, or?
Absolutely, yeah. So sugar is one of the macros that your body, right? Your body needs them. Your brain only runs on glucose, so it's not like it's unimportant. Typically, in the U.S., we're getting way too much sugar. It's like in everything. And then also now, environmentally, it's a less efficient form of nutrition. So in the electron transport chain, that whole thing I showed you, it comes in like way at the left. And you have to go through all these other systems to get it into the final, most efficient one. Okay, so it's way less efficient getting it there, which is one of the reasons it's so costly for the body. It uses up all kinds of energy and all kinds of nutrients to get sugar into usable energy. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, otherwise you're running the 2-to-1. You're burning sugar, you're in the 2-to-1. Okay, unless you have enough oxygen and other nutrients to make that run efficiently. So but yeah, great thought. But usually if you get overloaded with sugar, now you're pumping insulin, like everything in your physiology and your biology was crazy with too much sugar. Okay, yeah, great question. Chemicals, medications, certain things like heavy metals. Mercury is a known poison for the thyroid. Right, it competes with selenium, which is a nutrient you need, a mineral you need for thyroid to work right. And for some reason, OSHA says mercury is poisonous over here, but let's put it in your mouth in a filling, and then it's okay. And then we take it back out. We have to follow all these other safety guidelines and OSHA regulations because now it's poisonous again. Doesn't quite add up in my mind. I'm not a dentist, but I work with several that are more in the biological world, and they're going, yeah, this is actually a big deal.
Oh.
So thankfully they're going more to composites and that kind of thing now, but some people have mercury in their mouth. It's literally poisoning their brain and their thyroid. Okay? That's the metal part in a nutshell. And then chronic dehydration. I'm going to get a sip of water as I mentioned that. So, yeah, like, so coffee drinkers, every cup you drink is 2 cups of water excreted from 1 cup of coffee.
Okay.
Ideally, you need about half your body weight in ounces to make up for the fluid that your body needs every day. Okay. The other key player is water helps your lymphatic system to move, and your thyroid hormone distributes in your lymph first, and then gets pumped to the organs that way. So if the lymph is blocked up, you have a hard time with energy production and all that. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Okay. Who's getting lost in the weeds? No? Is this helpful so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So that's the inflammatory drivers. Now, there are so many people with thyroid challenges that are funny. 20 million plus. Most of them are women, and there are some actual biological reasons for that. The way that your nervous system is made is actually different than that of a guy, and that leads more towards thyroid challenges in the toxic world that we live in now. So just know that that's a piece of that puzzle. What are the traditional treatment options they've given you? What's out there? How do they treat thyroid?
Pills.
Pills.
Medication.
Right.
Diet.
Pills and diet. Yeah. And that really hasn't changed since the 70s. They give you prescription meds when the TSH is off. And here's the challenge. If TSH is normal range, it is malpractice, even though you have all the symptoms of low thyroid, it's malpractice to give you thyroid medication, even though that might make you feel a little better. It's not fixing a problem, but it's supporting at least something. And that would be the second leading cause of malpractice in the US.
Mm.
And so guess what medical doctors aren't going to do? They're not going to risk their license because you feel crummy and your numbers look normal.
Okay.
All right? So, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, like, that's reality, though. If drugs don't work, radiation, if it's hyper, or if it's growing too much, you get a goiter or something like that. It's like, now remember that heteroplasmy getting bigger, you get nodules, you're getting bigger, right? And then it's basically a timeline until they cut it out. That's the general approach. And I'm not saying every doctor wants to do that, but I'm saying, like, that's the progression this tends to go down.
Mm.
And yeah, that really hasn't changed since the 70s. Thankfully, they found Thyroid basically in the 70s. I mean, it's really supported a lot of people, but it hasn't fixed any problems where this is actually coming from. Does it make sense?
Okay.
So, what does insurance like to cover?
Nothing.
That. Right? That's what they will typically cover. So, bottom line is, though, they're managing your symptoms. Who's tired of symptom management?
But with me, is my diet. As I eat, I'm feeling better. For
Good.
Me, that's how I manage it.
Awesome.
I don't go for the medication.
Awesome.
Even my anti-inflammatory marker was so high since 2016.
Yeah.
So with the way that I eat, eventually I got it back to normal, like last
Perfect.
month. And then I'm working toward getting it even better.
Beautiful. What does that say about her gut battery? It's working well,
It's improving.
right? How many of you heard of people where they changed their diet, everything got better? I just stopped eating whatever it is, and it got better.
Right.
Awesome. And then there's others of you that have tried all that. You literally eat the best possible diet on the planet, and you're still getting sicker.
Mm.
Why? The gut battery is too drained. You can't actually absorb nutrients, right? In fact, you might eat and get so tired just from eating, it's costing you more energy to eat than it is giving you. Does that make sense? So that would mean your gut battery, from your just that quick little history, is actually pretty decent, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing. But for others of you, that may not be the case. It might be at a lower battery level, if you will, and that needs to be juiced up. Or you need to completely, your full-time job is just eating differently. And does that make, and who has time for that today? right? Like,
I have to say one of the things that helped me is the juicing part because I'm doing different juices,
Yeah.
different, green juices,
Absolutely.
juicing, and then I stay away from the grains, and it's
Mhm.
it's really it's a step, it's a process.
It's a process, absolutely. Yeah, and it's not a bad process. By any means, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm all for diet changing and eating the right stuff. I'm more about what you should eat than what you want to avoid. But that being said, here's a breakdown, right? Low thyroid and high thyroid. But again, it all boils down to energy debt. I'm not going to be here as a man telling you ladies what you feel in terms of your thyroid and hormones, right? I'm not going to go down that road. But there's a little bit of difference in terms of which way your thyroid might be pointing depending on how you're feeling, okay? So here's the big picture. The brain controls most of this stuff, and no one's really looking at the brain, okay? So the brain sends a signal to the pituitary, your hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary. Pituitary makes a bunch of different hormones. One of the big ones in this context is TSH. All right, and then if that's normal, you're fine. But normal, you have to understand, normal on your labs, let's say a TSH of 1 would be 1 hormone. A TSH of 2 would be 10 hormones. A TSH of 3 would be 100 hormones. A TSH of 4 would be 1,000. It's a logarithmic scale. It's by tens. Are you with me?
Okay.
So the scale in the labs run basically from like 1 to 5. And they say if you're in that range, you're normal. But there's a giant difference between 10,000 hormones and 100, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can see why people feel drastically different, even though the ranges might be within norm. Okay, so that's a little bit of the TSH number mess that they. But that being said, hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary, and that makes a thyroid stimulating hormone that says, "Hey, thyroid, get to work." So if your TSH number is high, that means it's a low functioning thyroid. It's like saying, "Hey, worker, I'm going to send you 20 memos for you to actually do the job." Versus I can send you 1 and you're on it. Makes sense? That's what the TSH is letting you know. And then the thyroid makes a hormone, really 2 of them, but T4 is the main one it makes. And the T4 gets converted to the active form in the liver, in the guts, in the skin. And so if these other systems are challenged, how about you think the conversion works? So you might have a normal thyroid, but it's not being converted into the business end in the rest of the body. Okay. And so now I'm seeing more endocrinologists, whatever, they're going to run TSH, they might run T3, T4, but that's kind of where it stops. Has anybody had more testing than that done? Not much, right? Maybe an antibody here or there if you know that you're autoimmune. So the X's here are where the signals can get disrupted by inflammation. So inflammation will disrupt the brain talking to the pituitary. Inflammation will mess up the conversion in the liver and in the digestive tract. Inflammation will mess up your absorption in the gut, right? Does that make sense? So inflammation will block pretty much every one of these areas. Reverse T3, when you're stressed out, you take the business end of the hormone and you put it in a storage to save it in case, hey, we might need this to survive later on. We better store it away. And so that's the reverse T3, and inflammation will make that go into storage and not useful in your body. Okay? So those are some of the main areas. Infection will do that as well. Is that helpful to see? So inflammation blocks basically every step in the process. And so that's part of our job that is going, where's the inflammatory driver? How many of them are there? What's going on? How do we put that fire out? So you can paint your house and rearrange the furniture instead of just stopping the flames, okay? So what I'd like to do is give somebody an opportunity that would like to be treated today, We're not charging you for that. It's just part of being here and getting to see how this actually works. Who's interested who's not interested in getting treated? Okay, cool. So everybody's up for that opportunity. Let me ask this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, energy level right now, 10 is I've got all the energy I need and then some. And 0 is put me in bed right now. I just am seriously going to go to sleep. Who is lower than a 5 right now? Okay, so like a couple, 3, 4 hands, 5 hands here. Who has had, does anyone not have a thyroid that's been removed? Okay, thank you. So, we're gonna have to wait on that one. It's a little more in depth. Obviously, the gland's no longer present, but keep this in mind. The brain is still operating as if it's there. It's trying to. It has no concept of missing organ. Okay, so we got several of you with an energy level of 5 or lower. Who's like at a 2 or a 3? Okay, so between you two, and who's had thyroid challenge for longer than say 5 years? Okay, longer than 10 years? Meg. Okay, so great. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, so she's had thyroid longer than 10 years. What's your energy level right now on a scale of 1 to 10? A 3. Okay. 2 or 3. Can you find the long light? I think it's in room 3. Awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to help to find out where her energy drain is right now. How many systems are overloaded or like dealing with stress and all those different blocks. Remember that? We showed you all those. We're going to look for liver, kidney. Let me go to my cheat sheet. Here we go. So come on up here, Meg. Would you mind unzipping your jacket for me? Perfect. So one of the things that needs to happen is the body needs energy to to contract muscles, right? And muscles are a great way to look at the nerve system because they only know how to contract and relax. Is that fair? So let's see how we're doing here. Standing right here facing our beautiful audience. Give a round of applause. I think after high school we get clapped for like maybe 4 times in our life, so we're like, you have to show a little bit of love that way. None of this should hurt. A little bit of this might be sore, but it won't hurt. Is that okay? So part of that is checking for tenderness. We're going to see that's part of the screening if that's going to get better too, okay? So one, we're going to check range of motion to see what else might change with this too. So let this completely relax. My hands are a little chilly. It's freezing out there today. Mm-hmm. Let this relax. I'm going to see how this moves. And she's got good range here. That's probably not going to get better. Let this relax here. And that one's a little stuck. Different. Is that different side to side? Yeah. Right about. What are you feeling there? Any pain with that, or just doesn't want to move like the other one? Yeah. Okay. So a little stuck on the right. Something to notice. Now there's a muscle in the rotator cuff that relates to thyroid function. It's the teres minor. This is the classic truck driver. I can say like my dad drove truck for decades, right? So, but literally they walk around, their hands are backwards like this, right? You've seen people walking like that. That means that teres minor has inhibited and shut down. Okay? So we're actually going to test that muscle for her and see if it's functioning or not. If it's on one side, it might just be a shoulder problem. If it's on both, it's typically related to the organ. Bend the elbow for me here. Bring the wrist out and I'm going to push towards your middle. Don't let me push in. Okay? And there's some resistance, but it doesn't stay put. Push out of my hand again. Yeah, you feel that? It's not firing right. Let's do the other one here. Same thing. Wrist out. Push out of my hand. Okay? Yeah, and that one also is inhibited. So she's got some weakness in the teres minor. Now we're going to look for what's called repeated muscle activation. When your body's making energy, right? If we're contracting muscles, you need to make a lot of energy for that muscle right away. Is that fair? So we're going to check to see how the system's working. Arm here like this. Turn your thumb in. We're checking a shoulder muscle up here. I'm going to push into the waist. And that's solid contraction. It works right. Okay, now we're going to do 100 of them. Okay? We're going to try to do 100. That would be ideal. That would be normal. So let's see how you do. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, hold that up for me here.
Yeah.
Let's keep pressure my hand.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So around 35. And she said her energy level is about a 3. This typically matches up with what they're feeling within a couple of points, of that. So let's just make sure it's bilateral, not just on one shoulder. You ready? Hold that up for me. That's good. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So similar side to side. Okay? So lets me know your energy recycling is on the lower end, right? You're running, like you said, about 30%. Right? You're like, the battery's low. So we can see that clinically in real time. The next one we're going to find is tenderness, usually under the clavicle. And you can feel this yourself under your collarbone, about 2-3 finger widths underneath the center of the collarbone, right? So if I'm right in here, that's the reflex for the thyroid gland. Is that tender? Put a number on, right there. Put a number on that one. 10's bad, 0's good.
That's a 7.
A 7 and 8. Now, if I rub the same way here, like there's nothing really there, or minimal. But that one's an 8. Let's check over here. Yeah, right about in there. Oh, that one's sore.
Yeah.
What number is that?
Oh, that's a 9.
A 9. So that hurts.
Wow.
That, if just rubbing on that, okay, will stimulate the lymphatic drainage in the organ and can get you some support in your thyroid function. Take that one home. It'll be very tender to rub on, but it's like flushing the thyroid's toilet handle.
Okay.
Okay, it helps to get trash and move that out of there. All right?
Yeah, I had lymph nodes taken out.
So, okay, so she's had some other lymph node things happen as well. Okay? So, we're not done. We didn't even get you treated. We're just screening stuff. So now remember we said brain, pituitary, hypothalamus, thyroid, adrenal, like all of these are connected and run together. Liver, gut has to convert all that. We're going to check those systems and see what's working and what's not. All right, so this just is going to let me know, is there more stress on that system than the body has energy to deal with right now? Okay, so hold this up straight for me here. I'm going to back up. Let me move this real quick. Yeah, that's good there. Let me bring this in front of you a little bit. I'm trying not to block you guys. So hold that strong for me here. Good. Now the reflex for the pineal and hypothalamus is on the center of the forehead. So just touch right here for me. And if that makes this weak, we got a problem. I don't know what it is. We got something going on here. Is that fair? Hold this up strong for me. And that actually weakens her. Take your hand away. Hold that up strong. Big difference on that. Notice that? Yeah, right? She's like, what? Yeah, this is real. You're gonna take your other hand gently. Yeah, I'm gonna keep touching this one if you're okay with that. This one's gonna go on the bridge of your nose now, Meg. That's pituitary reflex. We go a little bit lower. You don't need to pinch hard, just touch lightly. There you go. Now hold that one up. Okay, so she's letting me know hypothalamus pineal at the top of the stack is challenged. Now we go to pituitary, and that one's challenged. Now we're actually going to the thyroid in the neck right here. Okay, we'll see how's that one doing. And so, well, that one's tired too. And then we're going to go to a heart just for a different. Heart's not like directly related to this, but just to show you that it's not everywhere in our body. That's doing okay, right? And then we can go to the adrenal glands. That's the cousin to the thyroid, and that one's tired. And then we're going to go to the liver, which lives over here. And remember, thyroid hormone converts in the liver. That one's a little tired too. So we're kind of, but that makes sense. She's running at 30%. Okay? So we can kind of screen and find out where are the whole, like, there's a lot going on. No wonder you feel crummy. So now we got some things to check, like some monitor. And we're going to do some treatment now. We're going to use one piece of physics and some vibration. Vibration moves lymphatics. And then the light is going to add the physics to start to change chemistry, biochemistry, right, all the way up the stream in our body. Good? So go and have a seat here for me, Meg. Yep, pull that out around your feet. And would you mind, you can leave your shoes on. Let me just pull the, we should have one of these
Do you mind
guys.
help at all?
Who's got paper towels real quick? There we go. Leave the shoes on. You wouldn't take them off, just for fun.
Just for fun.
You need a hand highlight. How's that? Gotcha. How's that feel? Comfy? All right. Now, would you mind advancing?
Sure.
That should be the lower one here.
We'll see. There we go.
Look at that. So, what I'm doing is turning on laser here. Hold that one here on the neck. Good. We're going to get several of these going. And we're going to put one back here. Lean it. There you go. Just let that rest on the neck. So what I'm doing is putting light on all these different areas. Would you mind holding that on the forehead for me? Awesome. So these are the areas where she had weaknesses or energy drains. That you with me?
Mm-hmm.
And we're adding light to support these areas. And then some vibration in the feet to get some circulation moving and just kind of wake the whole brain up. This is just a different kind of laser. We're going to put that like cold laser. Yeah. It's going to go under your arm. Look at that. Perfect. So that's supporting the liver. And another kind of light. And let's put that one on your vagus nerve. How's that, Meg? What do you feel?
There's warmth.
Okay, so a little warmth on that one. That one does get a little warm, but otherwise just doing some gymnastics, holding up the equipment, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So, light therapy. Who's heard of light therapy before? Awesome. Here's why it works. Physics, okay? When we add the physics, we're literally adding energy, light energy. The body says, thank you very much. I can use photons and turn that into money to do work, ATP. So that boosts that up. It also reduces inflammation, which is why we see antibodies levels reduce with light. We see your T3-4 ratios get better. Immune response improves, right? The thyroid tissue can repair and heal.
So is it red light therapy, or is there?
There are several different kinds of light therapy.
It's like Planet Fitness has like a red light room.
Right.
Is that suggested?
You know, it would not necessarily hurt anything, but what we're doing is we're telling the photons directly to you to target this tissue. So we can, it's like turning on the radio, right, to a certain station, the thyroid station, and we're playing this song that the thyroid loves with the light. So with the lasers, we can actually target with frequencies and get the energy into that system. Same thing with electrons. Do we have a microcurrent to show? Handy, there's one right here. So that's the light portion. And the other one is, without getting too crazy on the technical, the microcurrent, this adds electrons, and we can literally target the same thing. Instead of photons, we're using electrons, and these are just the application. Instead of using sticky pads all the time, these are completely reusable all the time. So you put one on the back and one on the belly, and the electrons go into the system, and we tell them right where to go. Okay, so that's what we use for that. Those are two of the big puzzle pieces. Next one? Or I guess I can.
Yeah, I'll just let you do it.
Awesome. How do we go with that? Good. So, and then vibration gets lymphatic smoothing, like I mentioned, also reduces stress. And that's Dr. Jeff. He's traveling right now. He'll be back tomorrow. But amazing things. If you don't have joint replacements, we recommend standing. But for our demos and for people that have joint replacements, the sitting one is a little better because you still get that circulation movement. Make sense?
Have we
Again.
started hers?
What's that?
Did we start her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Planet Fitness and all that, they often have these things as well. So at the very least, jump on that. Right? Or you can get them on Amazon for pretty inexpensive, honestly. You don't need a ton. And the other one right over here beside Emily is our foot bath station. And this pulls out toxins, but it also alkalizes the body. Right? When your body is acidic, do you think that charges your battery or drains it? drains it. Sugar makes you acidic. That's another reason it's a bad thing. It drains, makes you acidic. And so if the body's too acidic, stress makes you acidic. And all these things make acid in the body, drains the battery out. Okay? I'm going to run these again for you here. Got it there. Let's start that one again. And one more here, Meg. Sorry about your hair. Go ahead. Awesome. And we'll start that one again. Cool. Now, every one of these lasts for 72 to 48 hours. All the way around, 48 to 72. And it does pull trash out. One of the research studies they did with Roundup, weed killer, right? It's very, it's a known toxin, causes cancer, all that kind of stuff. I think they did 12 sessions in a month, and they found a 3 to 4-fold increase in Roundup removal out of the urine. Like, so the body's excreting way more Roundup with that intervention.
Wow.
Okay, and part of the reason is detox requires redox. Okay, and that's just the chemical term that means you need energy to be able to detoxify. So yes, it does some cool stuff by pulling it out, but it's more about what's going in the body than what's coming out, in my estimation. So if you see things online like, oh, this color means gallbladder, this color means joints, and good luck trying to prove that. I mean, but so I don't base anything on color, but just know that that is a big part of the healing process, is getting the body's acidity balanced back out and pulling out poisons. Fair? So those are some of the 3 big players. The other one is pulse electromagnetic field. So remember we said photons, right? And the other one is electrons, and the other one is electromagnetics. We used to get from the Earth's field. So this is what pulse electromagnetic field is. Literally, the brain runs on DC current. Everything else in our world is AC current, pretty much.
Say easy.
AC, like AC/DC?
AC.
Yeah, so AC is alternating current, and that drains the battery in because your body runs on DC, direct current. Okay? And so this is direct current. And the direct current literally charges the battery in your cells. Okay? So this is one way we can hack our environment. You go, oh, we're all exposed to Wi-Fi and AC all day long? Let's plug in some DC and literally charge the cell batteries back up. You might have heard of Tony Robbins before.
Yeah.
So the motivational speaker, he sleeps on these in his homes before he does his presentations. It's just the Eagles. Maybe you've heard of them. Like they use this stuff. All kinds of cool. Anyway, so right, energy in the body, things heal quicker. We use protocols that work for nutrition. And we can specifically, with this kind of testing, also figure out what you're reacting to. We can see if a food is reacting negatively to your body. Like, am I allergic to this or not? Well, maybe, but my definition of allergy is it costing you more energy than it's giving you? There is true allergy, and I'm not discounting that, but, you might be reactive to a food or sensitive to a food, and it's not an actual allergy. And again, if we pump enough energy in there, what do you think happens to that food sensitivity?
Goes down.
Right? You're not like, I got energy, I can deal with that. Okay? So we see that all the time. Here's what I want to do is give you guys 10 anti-inflammatory, actually it's 25 anti-inflammatory recipes. Would that be helpful to have? I'm going to make sure you get an email, a copy of that just for being here today. Okay, just a gift to say like, hey, use some of this stuff and get you some help. Okay? All right. What do you think, Meg? You ready?
Sure.
Cool. Let's see how we did. Awesome. Perfect timing. Thank you. Gotcha. What do you notice?
That was easier to do than I thought it would be.
What does that mean? Getting out of the chair?
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's a cool side effect. All right. So it's easier getting out than you thought. You said your energy level is around 3. What are you noticing now?
I would say it's better. 4.5, 5.
4.5 or 5. Is your energy typically worse at the end of the day or better at the end of the day?
Worse.
So this 4.5 or 5 is actually a big jump for what typically happens for you.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. So let's see what happened now. That's her experience. Let's see what happened with the physiology, right? We can kind of check this stuff again, see what's going on.
Okay.
So let's see about your, I'll move that side a little bit. Let's, okay, bring that down a little. She's already like ready to go. Can you turn the thumb down a little bit for me? Good, hold that up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 5, 6, 7, 70. Am I pushing as hard? 80. That's 90. 4, 5, 6, 7. So like, she's still going strong on that. Let that relax. Bring this out to the side here, push back in my hand. I can lean on that, it's not going anywhere. Bring this one back for me. Hold that back. Same thing there, she's got great resistance on that. Are you noticing the change on that? Like, I'm shoving that thing for her. I'm getting red in the face too. You're making me work. Let's check the reflexes. Okay, hold that one strong for me here. Again, forehead, go ahead and touch right in here, a couple fingers. Good. Good. Now lightly on the bridge of the nose. That'll work. Hold that strong for me there. Now that one's still a little weak, right? Like we didn't get all that. Let's go down to the thyroid. Hold there. Okay. That one says happier. Let's go to the liver over here. Hold that one. Sturdier. Yeah. Let's go to the midsection again with the adrenals. Hold that up. So we, like everything kind of energized except for that pituitary one. So that means she probably needs a little extra help in that. Like, you know, we just gave her a little bit of light. We didn't do electrons. We didn't do the other things we could do to support that. Does that make sense? And then usually, I don't know if this is her case or not, but commonly for pituitary, there's abandonment in this story somewhere. Like the feeling of abandonment. So emotionally, that can impact, right? Stress is a big player for how that works. Yeah. So, question.
So I see you're testing the gland area,
Mm-hmm.
and is that how you pretty much deem where the, not to say issue, but like where the
Yeah. So again, clinically, this lets us know what sort of things are we dealing with. And then we also use labs and go, what do the numbers look like in the physiology? Then we get to see like what's real time, day in and day out, because we can't run labs every. Like we monitor them with appropriate frequency, but this lets us know are we making headway right now or not? Do we make a change today or not? Does that make sense? So this gives us literally real time feedback, neurology to go, did we change this or not? Instead of just how are you feeling now? We can see a change in her physiology like literally right now. And then the other one you said was pain in here, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how that's doing now. Was it 9, I think you said?
Yeah.
What's that doing now?
It's about 4.
4. So half as much. Okay. And how about over here? Am I in the same spot?
Yeah. No. That's about a 3.
3. So with less than 10 minutes of just light treatment, a little bit of vibration, energy level came up,
That's lymph, right?
and that's the lymphatic drainage point for the thyroid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, would you say that's a different story for you right now?
Yes, it is.
Has anybody seen anything like that where they can show you results right here in front of your eyes? Do you see why we win when other systems have failed? We're adding physics, and the body says, thank you, finally I can start to do my job again. Meg, thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Is that starting to sink in a little bit? Yeah. That was just the read screen. All right. So, we can tell success stories all day long. Julie, question?
I just was gonna ask,
Yeah.
it was possible to have this slide sent to? No, okay.
I see. If there's certain ones you want, I can get them to you. Yeah, I'm just playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing but proprietary on here that's sure. So I'm gonna invite Emily up. Actually, I told you the doctor's side of things. She's been the patient side of things. We both had thyroid struggles in our story. Most of our kids have as well, and so like we've lived this day in and day out. But it's probably helpful to hear from like a wife and mom perspective what this sounds like. Would that be helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So just go ahead and
All right.
take it away.
This picture actually is like 25, 30 pounds ago. I think that was January last year. I don't know exactly when, but so I've been doing. Let me give you a little backstory. So my dad was diagnosed with Hashimoto's when he was in his 20s. So as a family growing up, we were always sensitive about that. I was not introduced to natural healthcare until I met this handsome man. But I knew thyroid was an issue. I knew I needed to be careful of my thyroid because it's autoimmune, right? And the paradigm that I was understanding is that it could be genetic, right? My dad took Thyroid medication, ups and downs. We could tell the mood, the depression, the gaining weight, losing weight, all of that stuff. So then we met, we got married, and knowing that of my family history, we've always kept a pretty close watch on my thyroid. And thankfully, I've never gone to the autoimmune because we watch it, right? And up until we've really learned about the physics component of it, really diet. We have a daughter with celiac, so we're gluten-free, dairy-free, organic, natural food as much as possible. Currently, I'm on a protocol, and I'm using the microcurrent that he described here. And this, I do 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, an hour at night. I do a pulse machine 2 hours a day. And what I wanted to share with you guys is just, it's doable, definitely manageable. And when you first start putting energy back in the body, this is what I wasn't ready for. I was so tired. I'm like, oh my gosh, is something terribly wrong? Why am I so tired? Well, the reason that I was so tired is that I was propping myself up with caffeine. Right? And then I went off the caffeine and my body's like, finally, we're getting the energy that you need to start repairing things instead of masking, right? So,
and you heal better when you sleep.
Right. That's when you do, that's when you're healing, right? So I can say I'm doing an intense protocol right now, and I'm 3 weeks into it. And it's like a night and day difference. Like my energy is now like normal. Actually, I wake up at 5 every morning. But the last couple of mornings I'm waking up at like 4:30. Yeah. And I'm like, I think my alarm's going off. I think it's time. Like I'm a morning person. And then I get up and check my alarm. No, it's not going off. And I get back in bed. Poor guy. Just like, it's 4 in the morning. But all that to say, 3 weeks of the intense protocol and my energy is back. I'm not doing the caffeine. I'm not doing the sugar. I'm following the diet because biology is part of the pyramid. And it wasn't even specifically for thyroid, right? But I'm doing the protocol that you would do for thyroid. So
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for me? What it feels like?
How long is the treatment?
Well, the cell turnover is 3 months, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, what do you think in terms of the cell turnover? Like, liver turns over in 90 days.
Sorry.
Thyroid's about 90 to 120 days. So if you have autoimmune in the thyroid, you're gonna be looking at more than one cell turnover. So, like, does that make sense? You're gonna think in terms of like, what is the tissue you need to actually repair? How long do you need to get to an energy surplus before it's gonna actually do the normal job again? Does it make sense?
Okay.
So yeah, like brain cells slower to turn over, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you do this right here, the therapy? I mean, with what your wife just mentioned, do you do it right here in the office?
Yeah. So there's a mixture of home and in clinic, depending on what you need and if we accept your case and there's nothing, we can come up with a plan on what works for you, schedule-wise, budget-wise, all that kind of thing.
And now for me, because we don't, well, this is when we only have 5 homeschoolers. I do homeschool, and so he will bring the machine home for me at night, and I get up in the morning. I used to exercise from 5 to 6, but now I do therapies from 5 to 6. Like do all this stuff from 5 to 6. But I do it outside of the office, just because I'm doing a lot of other things during the day, and I'm a life coach, so I've got clients that I see during the day too. I'm a busy gal.
Mm-hmm.
I got a
Yeah.
question for Emily.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you notice like your sugar cravings actually change?
Yes, actually. Yeah. I'm just like thinking, yeah, now I can have like a Granny Smith apple and that is totally satisfying. Where before I would want more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I had a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know about the apple.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But
No,
good for
I
you, but I don't know if that's
But
gonna.
to that end too, when you have sugar, your adrenals kick in
Mhm.
and you make adrenaline.
That's part of the
And everybody's
crash.
like-
That's part of why I was so tired.
Yeah.
Because the sugar gives me the false energy because I was eating not super great, but just and
Yeah.
giving my body.
And it wasn't eating bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you're eating organic, gluten-free.
But I wasn't doing it for energy. Like I just like the taste.
Yeah, it's like-
Right.
I don't need it sometimes for the. I'm not worried
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
Late at night, I want a bowl of ice cream. I'm not gonna
Right.
keep doing anything after that.
Yeah. And again, so as a habit, probably not the best choice. But if you've got enough energy, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Does that make sense? So yes, it's like if you got a surplus in your bank account and then something comes along and you need to disperse some funds for whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, we can bounce back from that, not a big deal. But if you're already in debt and you get another big thing that comes along, right, it's like, oh man, does that make sense? So conceptually, that's how the body works too. When you go on vacation, you're usually not eating as clean as you might at home, right? But you generally feel better and tolerate it anyway. Why?
Because you're stressed.
Stress is down. What else? Your toes are in the sand. The waves are crashing. You're getting ions. You're getting light from the sun. Your physics is better. Less stress and better physics equals health. Okay, like generally speaking, that's right.
So the answer is he's going to take us all on vacation.
All on the beach. I'm writing a new prescription for a beach.
That's what I heard. All right. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we're
That's right.
So can I share next steps, what that might look like? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
So here's what that would be for us. We have a 2-day process that we go through. And information day is day 1. We get our normal history. If you've had any labs done, that kind of stuff, you get that to us ahead of time is really helpful. And then we know what we can deal with on that. Common questions I get are, how do I know if I qualify, right? So like I just said, we go through the intake process, do our examination, history, and see if that is a match, right? If there's something going on that's beyond our scope or something we can't help with, we're not going to blow smoke and say, oh, we can take care of this for you. We're going to get you in the hands of somebody that can help you, though. That's my promise to you is we're going to make sure you get taken care of one way or the other. How long does it typically take? Exam roughly is about an hour. And then insurance coverage, what do you think?
No.
Yeah. They cover meds and all that kind of thing. Whatever you may have coverage for when you're out of network, we're not linked with any insurance companies because we work for our patients and not for the insurance companies. Okay, that's just what we do there. And then, how much would it cost to invest in your health like that? Like, what sort of funds would you need available? That's going to depend on the person. Like, if your gut health is good and you can absorb things, then we may not need as much on the tech side, right? But I'll just give you ranges. If we're going to run labs and get our baselines and see, is there any autoimmune happening? Like, how deep down the rabbit hole do we need to go? You're going to be starting anywhere in the neighborhood of, say, $3,000 on the low end for assessments and follow-up and all of that. And if you're doing a whole home technology package where you can treat you and family and so on, then, we can't charge you $1 million for it, even though it'd be worth that to get your health back and your family's health, right? But you're probably in the neighborhood of 20, somewhere at 20 to 22,000, right? And then you got tools literally every day of your life to help you and your family get well and stay well. That's our tagline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it can be anywhere in between. There's no way to really know until we see what's going on, right? And that's typically for anywhere. Again, we're thinking cell turnover, and so that might be 4 to 12 months worth of care, including labs and follow-ups and equipment. Like we kind of do a whole package thing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what that looks like. And so our day one, we do our consult, our comprehensive neurological and thyroid exam. And then you already saw that one, your attendance gift. That's everything on one slide there for you. And total value of everything is $900 for our 2 visits, right? So our day 1 and day 2 is that. Realizing insurance is not going to cover this for you. Make this as easy as possible. We're doing everything on here for $197. Okay, so instead of $900, it'd be $197. Does that sound fair? That lets us know, can we help you and what your options are, and we can go from there. If we need additional lab work, we would discuss that ahead of time, and that would be whatever those labs are. But just for the intake and assessment, getting on the right track, it'd be $197. Okay. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, Leslie has a list of appointment times that we have set aside for this workshop. We can't do this for everybody, obviously. Chat with Leslie. She'll get you your appointment time. You'll pay for that exam this evening with Aaron. It'll secure your spot, and we'll get you everything you need to go get better.
Okay.
Cool? That's simple. If you have other certain questions, I'll be over here. Answer whatever you got. I want to respect everybody's time. Just from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being here today. Did you learn something valuable?
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Then I've done my job. Love every single one of you. Thanks for being here. We wish you the absolute best. Let's figure this out, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Quick question.
Is it for everybody or?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Can, do you have to do it like before we leave today, or do we have a little bit of time
You have
to think
3
about
minutes
it?
and 20. No. No, if you were like, hey, I need to check my schedule or check with my spouse, whatever, we're not a hard sale. Just, I told you everything up front as it is.
Just
You're
when
like,
you call,
yeah,
just tell me
yeah.
that you were here at the seminar,
Right.
so I give you the seminar price.
Okay.
We can't promise appointment times, obviously, but yeah, if you say, hey, I was in the workshop,
Okay, that's fine.
we'll get it taken care of.
Just checking.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Where does ANA fit into that when you're?
ANA. That's a screening for autoimmune, and it may or may not come back positive.
My ANA is huge.
If it's huge, then there's definitely autoimmune happening, and that's where the other testing is helpful to know which tissue it's attacking. So we can dig deeper on that one. But yeah, ANA sometimes comes back negative. I mean, oh, you don't have autoimmune, but it's only checking for like 2 things and not 27 things. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Any other last minute questions for the group? Have a fabulous evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, anything we can do to improve this workshop, send us a text. We always want to make this better for you guys. So, anything you can do to improve this, let me know. We're happy to take suggestions and all that. Feedback is fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's one right here, and then there's one right in front of the
Grab this one real quick if that's
Oh,
okay.
almost forgot that part. At home, you can text us at 717-285-0001 and request that same offer for your initial intake. Have a good night. Okay.